Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And well, apparently a lot of other stuff going on. The police is they're still kidnapping kids and even raping them in the name of the 9th May charade. Then you've got the government that is scrambling because it made the mistake of picking up a fight with the newly forming American government, especially one of their ministers, Richard Grenell. And then now the army is trying and going around to different places and meeting students in their colleges and talking about how they want to have a dialogue with the terrorists. Those terrorists are those people who are supposed to be working with India or for India or, against Pakistan. But they want to have a dialogue with them, but they don't want to have a dialogue with the legitimate government that they overthrew and took over after stealing their mandate. No, that they don't want to do. And the people are finding, all this toxic situation, very alarming, very concerning, saying it's not a part of us and all, and how far can they go and how below the belt can they hit. But let me tell you one thing. This is something I've said even before. I blame the people of Pakistan for all of this, right? I mean, this is something I've tried to even talk about numerous times in various ways. This mentality is essentially the mentality that dominates our homes. The mentality where the parents become Hindus, they take their Hindu culture when it suits them, and they drop Islam and they drop Islamic rules and laws and fundamentals, and their culture takes precedence over religion in most of their practices, where they feel that, oh, it doesn't matter how we treat our kids, but essentially, we are parents. So our whole society, obviously, because our families have made it this way in our homes, so it has become a part of our society. Remember, society is made up of people, it's made up of individuals. So how individuals choose to set the environment in their homes, within their families, this is how it becomes a part of the society. And how is it that our parents treat their kids at home? That is exactly how the government, the army, the police are treating people in public, okay? You cannot say otherwise. You cannot. I mean, look at the way the media always talks about how, an old parent, an old helpless parent has been badly treated by his child, and as if, this is just unheard of. This, what is the world coming to? Excuse me, this is a purely pagan belief where you believe, because this belief really is pagan, because it stems from that belief that parents have created their children, which negates Islamic belief. Parents have not created their children. God uses a human being to produce another human being, so that this is a means through which God brings a human being into the world. And as God says, it's up to him who he chooses, right? As he said, I've given you kids, I have made you barren. It's up to me. It's up to me who I choose to send my people through. And then God also makes it clear that he is testing you to see how you're going to treat his people when those people are under your care. How are you going to treat them? There is a hadith that Allah has cursed those parents who, by their behavior, cause their children any kind of sorrow. If you want to go to the actual hadith is, Allah has cursed those parents who, by their behavior, compel their children to disobey them. And there was another tradition in which, when the Prophet, he went to visit a sick child, and that child was a Jew, belonging to a Jewish family. And, when he put the child on his lap, obviously the child was really sick, and the child, ended up urinating on him and soiling his clothes. His father was so mortified that he was going to punish his child or berate him or whatever. And the Prophet immediately stopped him, and he said, but be careful with how you treat the child. What can restore his self-esteem after you have dealt with him in public like this? Now, what does this tell you? This tells you self esteem, which is something I've talked about a lot. You have no right to insult another person, to berate another person. You have no right to offend another person or to harm their self esteem, in other words. You have no right, no matter what age that person is, or no matter what your relationship is with that person, you have no right to degrade and demean another person. In fact, that is one of the most, it is one of those unforgivable sins that God talks about. It's unforgivable. You can have all the excuses and justifications you want, but you cannot be forgiven. Even if that person just says, okay, it's okay, yeah, I forgive you, you will still not be forgiven. It's unforgivable. Because as God says, the whole point of mankind is their self esteem. So when you try to lower the self esteem of another person because you think that you have a power over him, or you think that you are allowed to by some weird pagan law of yours, which you refer to as divine law, which isn't, you're acting as God. And when you act as God, you're committing again an unforgivable sin, because you are not allowed to act as God. You're not allowed to lower somebody else's self esteem or to attack somebody's self esteem. That is very important. Hazrat Umar, once yelled at a man who came, trying to talk to him about how my kid is, rebelling against me, or he doesn't listen to me. And Hazrat Umar was like, what did you give your kid in the first place? Did you fulfill his rights? His mother is not educated. He's not getting the education he wants. You're not giving him a good life. He's not happy. You know, he is not happy with you. He is not happy with the way you're treating him. Did you fulfill his basic rights, which entails his self esteem and his happiness? How dare you come to me, talk to me? You were the first person who broke it. He has every right to retaliate however he wishes to. It's tit for tat, man. This is Islam, okay? What you people are doing in this society, where you're saying, oh, it doesn't matter how we treat our kids, but at the end in Islam, it says that kids have to be nice. No, in Islam, it says, treat your kids the way you want to be treated when the tables are turned. Hazrat Ali said it very clearly. Treat your kids the way you want to be treated when you're old and helpless. How many of you can safely say that you have treated your kids with dignity, that you have allowed them to keep their dignity, that you have not berated them, you have not insulted them, you have not attacked their self-esteem, and publicly? That's another problem in our society. Parents like to do that publicly in front of other people. They think they're being very, very, they're showing their power, their authority as parents. Look, we can say and do whatever we want to our kids, And you think that it's a matter of pride that your kids take it and endure it. It's not. It's a matter of deep and utter shame. The fact that you think that you can get away with this because you're parents, now move it on. This is exactly the mentality that you have produced in your kids, so that they have grown up to be politicians and people in the army and people in the police who have learned from their own parents that authority and power means abuse. It means you can do anything you want because you have the authority to do it, because you are in a certain status in life. You have that certain status that allows you to do whatever you want. I'm a police officer, I'm allowed to do that. I'm the army, I'm allowed to do that. I'm a politician, I'm allowed to do that. I'm the government, I'm allowed to do that. I'm in the bureaucracy, I'm allowed to do that. Where the fuck did you think they learned all of this shit from? From home. Who the fuck installed this and instilled this in their psychology? Parents. Pakistani, Indian, Bangladeshi, Asian parents who converted to Islam but still give precedence to their pagan culture. where it is deep rooted in their mind that we are parents, so we're allowed to do this. We're parents, so we're allowed to do that. So, well, live with it. When your children become powerful and you become helpless, your children are just mirroring your actions. This is psychology 101. A child cannot break free of that cycle, no matter how much he tries. It's very rare, and you're very lucky if you manage to break through or break free from that and set up your own conscientious, deliberate cycle that is completely the opposite of that of your parents. Otherwise, you will always end up living the same way your parents lived or made you live. You will always end up doing the same things your parents did. You will always end up speaking in the same way your parents did. So, those children who speak roughly to their parents understand it's because their parents have spoken to them like that their whole lives. Those children who treat their parents dismissively when they're grown up and powerful, it's because that is the only way they know, because that is how they were treated. And when they were treated that way, the whole society ganged up on them and said, oh, this is normal, live with it. Get a grip. Who cares? Move on. This is life. Everybody does it. It's normal. It will help you become a stronger person in life. Well, so they have become stronger. They're only doing what they were taught is normal. Who is to blame for what the army, the police, and the politicians are doing? You are. It's as simple as that. Think about that before you start complaining. It's just like how you're always complaining about your kids. And also that's another thing. The Asian parents are so ungrateful. Their expectations from their kids is like, oh, who cares how we treated them? But it is our right. And then they bring Islam. Those who are Muslims, they bring Islam. It is our right because in Islam it says be kind to your parents. Islam also says be kind to your children. Islam says God has cursed those parents who are not kind to their children. They have cursed those parents who by their behavior forces their child to retaliate. Islam also says, especially for girls, that God cannot forgive those parents who do not think 100 times before they spit out a word, or think 100 times before they act in front of their unmarried daughters. Because that pain that they give their unmarried daughters cannot be forgiven. Similarly, daughters in general, they are the key to heaven. Why is it said that? They are the key, they are the doors to heaven. If your daughter has decided to shut that door, and it's weird because in our society we seem to think that it is understood that daughters have to forgive their parents when they're on their deathbed. Sons and daughters, but especially daughters, everybody thinks, oh, but you have to. I mean, how can you let them die without? Why? They can't die if they're not forgiven. Why has one endured what he has endured? Because God has promised compensation. Now you want them to forgive those people who have caused them harm, caused them loss, caused them pain. They endured all that shit because they are expecting compensation. And you want them to forgive those people who caused them harm so that they are living in hell now. And when they go up there, they will continue to live in hell because there's no compensation there either. This shows the height of hypocrisy of your society. And it shows why your society is fucked up. And it shows why your society is screwed up. And it shows why your country can never develop and it can never progress in the future. Because you people are fucked up. You need to fix your motherfucking brains. This is the outcome of your mentality. Live with it. Just like how you've told your family members, your kids, to live with it. Now it's your time, it's your turn to live with it. Because you deserve it, because you created these monsters from within your homes. You created this mentality, you nourished this mentality. And now it's bearing fruit. So this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.